guys, welcome back to Albright Metalworks. Today we got an unboxing to do. Bought a brand new forge from Majestic Forge and we're going to check it out. So come along with me. So this is the box came in yesterday. Didn't have time yesterday to get to it, but got time today. So we're going to go ahead and open this up. I cut the tape already, but see here. First off, top of the box, there's a little box. Let's see what's in that box. Burners and instructions. That's all that's in there. So we'll set that aside here. And I'm going to try and pull this out. Oh, it's in there good. Plan B. Normally I try and save the box for if I got a order that I got to ship out to somebody. But right now my little storage container in the corner is stocked full of boxes. Ew. The grainy styrofoam. So the thing my friend Scott was telling me was when he bought his Majestic Forge, it was mostly assembled right off the bat. So a lot less work than like when I bought my little Mr. Volcano forge and had to line it and put the refractory in. Voila! There she is. 3-burner artisan forge. Set that mess making material aside. You never can get all the little granules out of your shop, it seems like. Right. So, nice little tag there that says Majestic Forge. And this is one of the models similar to what they used on, or use on Forged in Fire. The one they actually use on Forged in Fire doesn't have this side door, but it's from the same company. And like I was saying, my friend Scott, he has the one without the side door, just like what they have on Forged in Fire, and it's a fantastic forge. Been over to his shop a bunch and using it. Nice. Ew. So there's the regulator and the hose. And the thing I like about this is they use a ceramic fiber board that is, in my mind, a lot better than the kale wool that they give you for the Mr. Volcano. Plus, this can get up to a higher heat than the Mr. Volcano safely. And I could actually forge weld. So that was a little tricky to get out. It's a basic little knob. Assume it has a gauge on it. Why am I going to break that open when there's a bread tie? Nice knurling on that knob so you can get a good grip twisting it in. Kind of surprised it doesn't have any flats to give her an extra crank, but if your valve's in good shape, you shouldn't need that. So let's see here, a 0 to 30 pressure gauge. Seems to be a decent quality material made out of. And it's got all the Teflon tape, so hopefully it'll not be leaking, but we will leak check it. Maybe not on this video, but actually most likely not on this video. This is just the unboxing. I might put a picture of it once it's all cured and everything. or video clip, but you got your supply valves and rail here, which I'm gonna have to cut that open. A little jar of repair putty, because if you scratch these fiber boards on the side, it will indent, and that's for repairing any little gouges or cracks in that. And if you haven't checked him out yet on Facebook, check out Birdno Forge Works. He's my friend Scott. We just been forging together for a couple months now, and met him at a festival nearby. Came by my booth and said, hey, you should check out my shop, and tell me about all the cool toys he has in his shop, and finally went over and fell in love with his equipment. So, not being silly, get your mind out of the gutter. So there we go. You got these little tabs here for holding the burners in, because they will hold up to here. Each one of these little drop down pieces will be on the edge of a burner, and then that'll sit up here, and you want the gas line to go away from your forge door. So yeah, that's where we're at on that. Don't know what this extra bolt's for, but I'm going to find out in a minute in the instructions. So, what else am I missing here? Oh, cardboard. I'm checking the burner ports here to make sure they're all free and clear of debris, which there's a little bit. There we go. This looks like they're little, I don't know if it's a high temp caulking or whatever for behind the fiber board or what, but good shape. I'm excited about this. I've ran into a lot of projects that I've tried to do in my little Mr. Volcano, and it just barely fits or won't fit, and I got to have to go to using the torch if I need to do stuff like when I make shepherd's hooks for the farmers markets. It doesn't quite get a long enough heat in that Mr. Volcano to do it all in one bend, so I have to do some of it in the forge and then pull her out and torch it as I bend it around my form. So I don't know if you can tell, but that candy cane looking thing up on the wall, if it's in the frame, that's my jig for getting the same bend every time. Got that. Let's check out the instructions. All right. Majestic Forge. Important. Read all instructions before assembling or lighting the forge. Kind of a good idea. Setting up your new forge. Items include forge box with ladle brick bottom and rigidized refractory insulation board. Mixing tubes, gas valve, manifold. That's the word I was looking for earlier, manifold. Gas regulator and hose, adjustment knobs on deluxe model, and a jar of liner repair putty. Your forge may vary in appearance and style. The setup is similar with all models. Awesome. I won't read off all the instructions here to you, but because it's kind of useless to you unless you buy one. But it gives you all the instructions for your initial lighting. Gives you the diagram of how things are supposed to be set up. It reminds you to check for gas leaks. Don't over tighten and don't carry forge by the mixing tubes. So carry by the base and not by the manifold or the pipes. All right. So it says initial startup. forge has been unused for 48 hours or more, preheat process should be completed. So anytime you use this, if it's been unused for more than 48 hours, you gotta do a preheat. And that looks like it is to preset 5 psi to light. Can't adjust your regulator, the handle won't move. And check the lock nut under the hand wheel. So it tells you how to adjust the tightness of the hand wheels on the needle valves here. Light a piece of paper, place it in forge below one of the gas tubes. Do not attempt to light forge with match lighter or match/lighter. Do not place hands near forge when lighting it. That's kind of common sense, but you'd be surprised how many people actually just stick it up there and whoosh. And I'm one of those dummies occasionally, missing most of the hair on the back of my hands from that. All right, let's see here. Turn burners on low heat for the preheat process. Leave on low heat for approximately 10 to 15 minutes. Then turn off the forge for an additional 10 to 15 minutes to dry out before relighting. So essentially this is if you leave it 48 hours or more, it's going to collect moisture. And you have to drive that moisture out with a very low heat, which is, you will see, I even see it with my Mr. Volcano, where you'll see steam coming out of the edges of the refractory where it meets the body, because it is porous and it will absorb. So looks just like that's the basics of getting it started initially. It gives you a picture of the actual flame that you want to see. If your forge fails to light after a few seconds, turn the gas off. Start the lighting process from the beginning. After cooling down is complete and the initial startup process is over, slowly open initial valve completely. Move forward with the opening valves on additional burners at one time, or one at a time. And then open, adjust your regulator to recommended PSI. As follows: for 2-burner forge, 6 to 8 psi, 3-burner forge, 9 to 12 psi, and a 5-burner, which I'm not going to be able to afford one of those anytime soon. That says 12 to 15. If flame is erratic, adjust burner valves until you have a smooth feather flame. And if it continues to be erratic, shut off forge, disassemble manifold, remove orifice cap, which is these little brass guys right here. And once removed, clean, double check orifice cap for debris. Reassemble and start light up process from the beginning. Gives you care and maintenance on this. Never block the end of your forge externally. So if you feel like you need to block, then block from the inside of your forge 2/3 up only. So don't completely block off this, and you gotta block it from inside, not from the outside. Because if you do that from the outside, it's gonna eat up this edge of the metal on the opening. And I don't remember if this thing came with a warranty, but if it does, that would probably void it. No, and it says right there, blocking ends externally will cause liner box failure. Said damage is not covered under your warranty. I guess I should have just read ahead. Flux welding, it says if you're flux welding or forge welding, we recommend lining the floor of your forge with unglazed ceramic tile. You can purchase this at most local hardware stores. For additional questions, please contact our office. Tells you how to use the repair putty too, which I'm not going to go into that right now. And then it has the frequently asked questions. How does flux affect the liner? And it says, as gas forges require less flux usage than coal due to cleaner burning, and less oxidization, we recommend lining the inside of the forge with ceramic floor tile using 2 pieces with glaze facing each other to catch the excess flux. So that's kind of silly because back here it says unglazed tiles, and then here it says glazed tiles. So I guess it says Brian at majesticforge.com. Not sure if you're aware of that, but yeah, if you are, you might double check that. I know personally from working with my buddy Scott and his forge, it's kind of hard to find unglazed tile. So he's been just getting ceramic tile, and that's exactly what he was doing. So he probably read that in his frequently asked questions on here. Another thing, I've heard some people will use terracotta tiles. That's really hard to find. And Scott and I have hashed around about like using the bottom tray for the ceramic or the terracotta pots that you would grow plants in, and maybe cutting those down to shape to fit in there. Because I don't know if one of my bricks that slide in here is a sacrificial brick for catching the flux. And when you do use the ceramic tiles, they are going to pop and crack, so be careful. Don't put them in with it on already lit and hot, but line that floor with them and then back away, because they will ping and pop and crack, and just go from there on that. But as always with forging, you want to be wearing safety glasses. Not just want to be, you need to be wearing safety glasses. All right. It says, I am having trouble getting the forge up to welding heat. Answer, our recommendation is to use larger tanks due to the flow safety valves found in smaller tanks. Safety valves are known to freeze, thus causing your forge not to operate properly. So I've ran into that. You can see kind of here in the background of the video, we have a 100-pound tank here. Just with that little Mr. Volcano forge I got, it made a huge difference in the amount of gas I use and the flame. I have a 0 to 30 pressure valve on that, or regulator. And the original one that came on it, I tried to connect a hose to make a longer hose because I got a 20-foot hose on it right now, so I could keep my tank farther from the forge. But once I put that on and that hose, I can barely run it at like 2 psi, versus before I could have that thing cranked to like 20 to 25 psi, and then it'd be kind of at its cruising pressure and getting a lot of work done. But I've never really tried to forge weld in it because the little like this piece right here, the flange where the burner goes in would start glowing a little bit as it got too hot, which I had to weld that down to the frame so it wouldn't accidentally pop the little spot welds on it. So there we go. Got that. Let's see. Blocking off burners. That was the other one Scott told me about. It says, when using less than all burners, you must insert a piece of sheet metal on top of the non-used bells below the orifice to prevent the chimney effect. So that would be putting sheet metal on top of this piece here and under that orifice. So in that little gap, which is kind of hard to do with those little standoff tabs in the way. So I know my buddy Scott, he just recommends either blocking off the interior all the way to the top, or just run all burners, even if you don't need them. Which is why it's handy to have multiple forges. You got a smaller forge for smaller work, or the bigger forge for everything else. Let's see here. And if I'd read farther, it would tell me. It says, don't block exhaust ports of the forge. Place a brick between the burner being used and the one not being used on the inside. Make sure you only block at most 2/3 of the chamber inside. So not all the way to the top like I just told you. Don't listen to me, I'm an idiot. If you cut off exhaust, you can create hot spots in the forge that will damage the liner. If not taken care of, you can melt the exterior of your forge. I've seen that, and actually there's one sitting over there on the floor that my buddy Scott sent over for me to borrow for a class, and that one got a little too hot and things started getting melty, and the outside got a little damaged, but still works. It just looks like putty on the inside from the roof. And let's see here. That's the end of their questions and answers section. And then it just says, for further assistance, email us at brian@majesticforge.com. So, pretty simple, not very extensive instructions. A lot of common sense, but I'm sure they got videos online if you need help figuring out how to set it up. Let's see here. And this gives you all the little nitty gritty on it. And it shows in the picture how far to let the mixing tube go down into the flange. So you want it to go down flush with the metal, or just at the end of the metal at the bottom, right where it meets the brick. Otherwise, if it goes all the way through, like on the Mr. Volcano, you'll melt the ends of it. And then you'll have little droplets of metal coming down. And that is not very safe. So, let's see here. That requires a screwdriver. Oh. I love these little multi-screwdrivers, and I also hate them at the same time. Set that with the opening up. Still don't know where that's intended to go, unless that's an extra bolt for here. Yes, that's an extra bolt for there. Either that or one snuck into the packaging, which happens at times when you're doing work like that in a factory. You just sometimes get extra stuff shoved in. So let's see, is there a better way to do this? Alright, you know what? I'm going to call it there, and I'll make another video of the assembly. Probably a better idea because we're already over 20 minutes now. So, thanks for watching, guys. I'm going to keep cracking, but you'll see it on the next video. Thanks a lot for joining us. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Have a nice day. Forge on, my friends.